Lure into the Irish hills and you'll find a place destined to grant those lucky wishes to those striving for victory. But the race to grant a wish plants the best drivers of 4 wide to take on the challenge tonight. We're overhead the virtual Michigan International Speedway. We give you a warm welcome to the 11th race of the Season 6 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series with coverage live on the KBueno Racing Network. Glad to have you here from Michigan. We're atop the broadcast booth here on the virtual side. My name is Kenneth Bueno. While we do have no commentator alongside me in the booth, going to give you all the coverage through tonight's 11th race of the 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series regular season. There's been a lot to converse about over the last couple of weeks. We certainly had one at Daytona. A lot to be said there, and it all began with the green flag rather, that started there to the checkered, ended up in a finish all the way to the end, and it was the 91 Adam Alashire being able to take away his first win since Watkins Glen back in Season 4 gave Skybox their first ever win in 4 Wide Racing history. A young team in Season 6, and there was the cross of the start-finish line there with Lance Hill in the 1. Just an absolutely absurd way to go to the victory lane. And of course, a crazy race. Involved a lot of crashing, involved a lot of fantastic racing, and of course that 91 being able to cross the checkered flag first. Now, there's a lot to talk about when it comes down to racing here in Michigan. We'll get first into the track map with images, of course, provided to us by Google Earth. We're here in Michigan for the first time this season, and we've usually raced this track early in the schedule. We haven't seen it in the playoffs basically at all. It usually takes place in the beginning or the middle of the regular season. Tonight is no different. We have 2 miles on tap, 3.2 kilometers. This track owned by Roger Penske, fast and almost wide open. Opened back in 1968. 14 degrees of banking in the turns, 12 degrees of banking on the front straightaway. And this track is large. Similar to Auto Club, the track that we just visited at the beginning of the season, sort of sister tracks in that sense, but Michigan does drive very differently to the one in Fontana, California. So surely going to be a challenge for the drivers this evening. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what they can do. And it's been a lot of fun watching how exactly things have settled when it comes down to the point standings. As we'll look at it on the front of your screen, Lawson Peel has been able to pull away quite a bit over Eric Schaefer after last week's race at the World Center of Racing. Schaefer now 14 points behind. This is the largest deficit that somebody second has had from the driver first in points. We've seen them usually decided by single digits. Now it's broken into the double-digit category. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, despite hanging around farther from the top 2 for most of the season, he's now starting to claw through and gain some momentum, only 16 points out from Schaefer's grasp for second place. He has pulled away, though, from his teammate Luke Knupp, who has struggled a bit over the last couple of weeks. 294 points there for him, and then you go all the way down through the top 12, and the drivers all the way to 14th, those who theoretically will make the playoffs. Now, you see TJ Bursk, who's manned in 17th. You don't see Adam Alashire here on this list. But if the playoffs were to start tonight, then we would have TJ and Adam Alashire take over the wild card spots. You would need at least one win and at least 60% attendance over the entire season to be considered for the playoffs in that wild card spot. So while this is the actual point standing right now, do got to think about the intricacies of wild card spots. TJ and Adam currently hold those positions, but it's still a really close-knit fight for those trying to get into the top 14. Jaden Porter only 2 points out. Patrick Thompson 4 points out. TJ Bursk only 9. So it is rather close between those drivers. They're going to all try to make it work. So before we get into the action here tonight from Michigan, one thing we'll talk about before we wrap up the pre-race show, before we get into the green flag here from Brooklyn, Michigan, is the 4 Wide Bracket Challenge. This is the newest addition to the in-season. It's sort of like an in-season tournament, if you will, if you're thinking NBA prospect. And we've been calculating drivers in brackets each and every week. We're going to, of course, have a break. Daytona, not necessarily factored into that, but going into Michigan, we've got drivers that are going to line up against each other, and we have a lot of guys that have advanced either from bye weeks or just beating the other driver on track. So that's been a lot of fun to watch. Gives the extra incentive for those who are just hanging around in the 4 Wide season, want to race for something more than just an overarching points battle. They've got some dollar signs in their distance if they are able to take full advantage. So we'll keep an eye on the Big Bracket Challenge as tonight moves forward. and some of our key matchups, how that will play in effect for tonight's race. Well, we're about a minute and a half off of the qualifying ending. We'll have the drivers officially have their times in. We'll have everybody trackside. We'll get you to the starting grid of tonight's race here from Michigan International Speedway. And so far, we have seen a lot here from these larger tracks. Auto Club, we did see a good amount of strategy. We did see the chaos arise a little later on in the evening, but Lawson Peel was able to grab that win off of just sheer chaos and being able to pull away all the way on tire strategy, him getting around Daniel Michel near the checkered flag. Tonight, we might see some of the same. Michigan is known for tire saving and using multiple lanes across the surface, so no surprise, we might see green flag stops play a factor. We might also see chaos reign. It just can swing either direction. So as the sun shines here in Brooklyn, Michigan, just about a minute out from covering the green flag and getting you trackside. For Adam Alashire, it was a huge win for him. Led 13 laps on his way to the win at Daytona International Speedway. And of course, for Team Skybox, a big success in the way they were all able to band together and be able to work solidly in order to get to the front of the field and be able to move forward in the event. But we'll see exactly what Adam Alashire can pull off now. Not necessarily the best time in practice or qualifying, but he does have, so far, a third position to start on provisional. So should things change, we should see him get knocked out. But for right now, he seems to be planted in that third place position. So time will count down here in Brooklyn, Michigan. About 10 seconds left before we get qualifying done and dusted. We'll look at the 4-wide schedule before we continue on through the qualifying procedures and to trackside. Here's a look at the schedule for the rest of Season 6, and this is basically our stretch going into the new year. We've got Michigan tonight, but we do go on a 2-week Thanksgiving break before returning to Atlanta, the Legacy Atlanta, on December 6th. We'll be back for action there. Then to Watkins Glen, our first road course of the season. Then that takes us to our All-Star race at North Wilkesboro Speedway, debut of that track for the 4-wide camp. Then we'll go to Darlington, Kansas, IRP, Indianapolis, and a lot of tracks that will be inherently pivotal into making the playoffs, and drivers who are pushing for a points battle all the way through. Gonna have to keep that in mind, the different caliber of tracks that are going to be presented over the schedule. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch as we move forward. But for now, we'll take it trackside and give you your starting grid for tonight's 11th race of the regular season in season number 6 here from the Irish Hills of Brooklyn, Michigan. On pole is the number 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, lining up the fastest time, 38.897. He's got Trevor Haley, rookie driver, alongside him. How about the rookies lining up in row number 1 to start? Adam Alashire looking to go 2 in a row this season. He's got Tony Kibbett right alongside. Great qualifying effort for the Drinkin' Bros Racing Chevrolet. Eric Schaefer, who is 14 points out of the points lead. He starts tonight from 5th. Kyle Benson in the Dude Wipes Ford Mustang for Murray Reedy Motorsports. He lines it up outside in P6. Jaden Porter, defending champ, has gone through some ups and downs. It's been an uphill battle, though, throughout the season. He is 7th. Lawson Peel will be behind him in 8th place. Brandon Banks starts tonight from inside the top 9. And new driver to the series, Jacob Locklear, makes his debut in 4-wide competition. He starts just inside the top 10. AJ Green is 11th. Michael Newbraw in the 6th will be in 12th position. Ryan Pendicio will be behind them in 13th, followed by Craig Lounslogger to his outside in row number 7. Row 8 will house Curtis Kelly in the 71, Tyler Murray alongside in P16. Then 17th and 18th goes to the bracket bunch. David and Wyatt, the 7 and the 10, line up inside and outside of row number 9. Craig Parks and Jesse Prees, the 17 and the 0, will round out the rest of our top 20. Jason Hastings lines up from 21st on the grid. 22nd will go to Lance Hill in the 1. Christopher Bishop lines up 23rd. Nicholas Vizzuti out in 24th. That's row number 12. Brandon Gillis is inside row number 13, 25th. And Austin Reedy, a lot of work he needs to do from the grid. He rolls off from P26. Colin Forster will be 27th when we get the green. Scott Healy, first driver not to take a qualifying time. He is on the exit of row 14. Patrick Thompson is 29th. Brady Cox alongside to round out the top 30. Then Cody Kinsey in 31st. Jeff Noe in 32nd position. And then bringing us the final 3 drivers of the grid, Kevin D'Elia in the 53. Tyler Warner in the 33 and the 31 of Brian Terry brings us the end of our almost full grid here from Michigan. A look at the weather before we get started. This track is hot, 106 degrees on the asphalt here in Michigan, 75 degrees in the air, winds to the south at around 4 to 5 miles an hour. We've got partly cloudy skies. Beautiful afternoon to go racing, sort of similar to the conditions we've seen before here at this track. Many times we usually race at this time of day in the afternoon when the track temp is hot and does provide the extra obstacle that drivers need to deal with. Now, the last 2 times we've raced this track, just like with all the other tracks in the past 2 seasons, they have been with the next-gen car. The thing with that, just a lot of downforce, not as much tire wear in that car. You've got a lot more tire wear here with these Xfinity Series machines, and they will not be afraid to let you know when they want to unravel loose. So drivers do need to be a little more cautious and a little more wary about that phenomenon happening. And as you use multiple lanes here at Michigan, we'll discuss just in depth how that will affect the handling of the race car. So for Etienne Fonseca Moreno, he wants to break the trio of drivers who have picked up 2 wins this season. Moreno got his most recent win at Bristol Motor Speedway just a couple of weeks prior. And then there's Trevor Haley, who has been stout throughout the season as a rookie, but unfortunately has not been able to close off a race win so far. Could tonight be the turnaround on a great qualifying effort outside row 1? We'll just have to see, but for the moment, guys like Moreno are sort of fighting for their top 3 lives when it comes down to the point standings. We mentioned earlier how the 43 has gotten a little closer to the likes of Eric Schaefer, and points leader Lawson Peel is going to have to scrap and claw his way through this and hopefully gain enough points to be able to make it a closer fight on the 3. So Moreno and Haley will bring us to the green flag here at Michigan. Adam Alashire, Tony Kibbett, Eric Schaefer, your top 5 to the green flag. A Chevrolet and a Ford Mustang will bring us to action. Pace car is down. They'll enter the zone to Barney the flagman. The 43 will hop on the gas pedal, and we are racing from Brooklyn, Michigan. Clean lap 1 for the field and for Moreno, who holds on to the lead. Bit of a challenge there, building up for second. That was the 4 of Haley trying to defend against the 91 of Adam Alashire, but to no avail. Alashire is not able to get into the second spot. It will roar down the back straightaway. A couple of them hitting the outside wall and a bit of stacking up through the back of the pack, but for the most part, everybody up front keeping it as calm and collected as can be at the jump of this race. And most of the field looking to the inside. How about the battle inside the top 5? Kyle Benson inside of Tony Kibbett makes that move complete. Now Eric Schaefer will swing to the bottom, go to the inside of Adam Alashire for 3rd. And Schaefer with a bit of a slide up in front of the 91. He will give him the dirty air, and the 3 car slides up to the podium early on. All but of single file action. We did see only some passes be completed inside the top 10. You notice that one with Benson and Kibbett. Now this one with Schaefer and Alashire. One behind them, Lawson Peel, fighting for 7th, was able to get around the 28 of Jaden Porter without much of a fight on his hands. Really early on in this race, and you could already tell top 11 have pulled away from the gaggle of cars that are building up at the mid-pack. Starts with Jesse Prees and the 71 of Curtis Kelly make that almost 3 wide. Craig Lautenslager and Colin Forrester making it about for P16. And right on board with Forrester, who finished 27th in last week's affair at Daytona. Was not the best running for the 2-time winner at the World Center of Racing. And Forrester has already picked up some spots, and he'll slide underneath Jesse Prees, a really commanding effort to go to the inside. He'll find his way through. He'll make that pass complete. He'll slot into 16th. Follows suit with the super right in front. Curtis Kelly out in the 71. So not much action here in the first couple of laps here from Michigan. Top two, though, have slightly pulled away from the likes of the 3, Eric Schaefer, and the 38 of Kyle Benson. They're starting to form their own little train, but for the top two, seems to really plunge ahead at these other drivers, and it looks like they've got the fastest cars so far out of the bunch. It appears to be working in favor for them. A look on board with your pole sitter, sporting a beautiful paint scheme designed by Cosmin Yonoshu for Splash and Go Graphics. Excuse me there, can't even say that right, but nonetheless, the 43 with a gorgeous paint scheme and a sunset vaporwave 80s style on his Chevrolet Camaro will try to fend off the very colorful IC Ford Mustang of Haley. And Haley was one of those to cap off a top 5 finish at the World Center of Racing last week. Just a dedication to, one, how good Haley was throughout that race and how stout he's been at the super speedways, but also his ability to survive. But at these different tracks where you do have the tire save, it's been more of a struggle for Haley, but consistent enough to nab him a spot in the top 10 through standings, as Alishire, it appears, has fallen back quite a bit, now to 6th. And here might fall to 7th, Lawson Peel on the inside to the stripe. So the 12 makes that pass. 91 will back out. Now the 48 in a battle with Locklear, and a bit of contact there right behind. You just saw it on the back end of your screen. AJ Green having to wobble out of the way to prevent contact with Locklear. Driver making his first start in this series. We'll see if we can get a better look at it from the overhead. And it appears right there, just a bit of contact. Slides the 48 down low, but no harm, no foul. They'll be able to continue. Although AJ does back out quite a bit, he'll drop to 11th. They'll try to make this move next time by on the V-Speed 97. So mostly single file action here from Michigan. Lap number 8 of what's a 125, 250 lap affair. And we talked about how this track is similar to Auto Club in its sister nature, the way it's built, of course, the way it is shaped, and the way you have to race it. You can depend a lot on the draft and bringing other cars with you. Oftentimes at these tracks, we do see those 4 or 5 car groups just start to click together. You'll see a lot of that be prominent in the way drivers make passes, and if you have a large group of cars on the outside lane, driver on the bottom doesn't really have much to do other than just back out of line and wait for the right moment. But Peters here with this Xfinity Series car, it's a little more different. Obviously, these drivers are taking it a little more conservative at this juncture of the race. Still rather early on at lap number 9, but with the next gen, you saw just how exacerbated the draft effects were. We had much closer packs, even here at lap number 9. 3 and 4 wide. You saw that outside lane really put some pressure on everyone down low, and they were undefeated in that sense. A lot of them could not lose if they had 3 or 4 cars on the top comparative to just one who wanted to make a charge. On the inside, look at the contact further back. That's for 20th, Lance Hill and Wyatt Brackett getting a bit physical in 1 and 2. Well, look at the replay here from the both. As the 1 tried to make a move. It's made up high, the 10 car playing defense. The 1 just dives it into the corner, and the 10 just misses the arc. Goes up, and I believe they just both merged to make contact. No real incident there. Luckily, they're both able to escape without any problem, and they'll be okay. Remember how I talked about the top 2 pulling away quite a bit from everybody in front? Well, now the 3rd place car, Eric Schaefer, is catching up. Last lap at a 40.336. Your leader is at 40.5. Schaefer, the fastest driver in the top 10 right now. And we talked about the gap all the way back to Lawson Peel at approximately 24 points. I got that wrong on the jump of the show. I said 14, but it is 24 between those two. Not necessarily a math major by any stretch of the imagination, but Schaefer is obviously trying to get back at the points lead. And we've brought up that storyline to him and Lawson Peel. Both of them have been going at it with each other. Just a bit of friendly banter and conversation, but definitely is good to have control of the points lead, knowing how much momentum you can swing to your direction. By the time you get a little bit closer to playoff time, you can almost guarantee your spot in the postseason. That's not the worry for these guys. More so about controlling the tempo of the rest of the field. And this 3 slides up in front of Trevor Haley in the 4. Makes that move complete for second at lap 12. So Schaefer will man the third line, try to chase down Ethan Fonseca Moreno as he holds on to the race lead here early. Just all single file action through the field. And it does not appear that any driver wants to really make moves right now. They just all want to stay where they're at. That's why they're really content at this point. Eric Schaefer, the driver out of Hampton, Virginia. Of course, one of those on the Drinkin' Bros Racing 1 stable, as they've expanded here in Season 6, and now have a Drinkin' Bros Racing 2, which I like to call DBR, the sequel. But for the 3 of Eric Schaefer, I mean, he certainly stood out this season. And talking to Tyler and seeing the power rankings that he releases every time at the end of the week, he always puts how Eric Schaefer, he did put in one of them, how Schaefer did beg for the Xfinity Series car to run in this series for so long. And after a couple of seasons of next-gen Cup car action, Tyler Murray and the Adamants said, okay, why not? Let's go to the Xfinity Series car. Let's see how it goes. And with this car updated with a new damage model, and of course with the way it races overall, it has provided stunning racing, but it has woven into the favor of the 3 who definitely likes this car a lot more than the next-gen. And it is apparent by the way he's been able to put on this season as comparative to last season, where surely he was able to perform well, but in these cars, he is a whole different beast, and he is showing it over Season 6 of the series. And closing in on your race leader, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, he runs about a half lane higher, but it's giving him the best arc in 3 and 4 to make that pass completed. It appears that Trevor Haley might be on the back foot here. He's getting chased down by Kyle Benson in the number 38 machine. So Benson will try to make this move, the driver out of Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And a look on board here with the number 38. He tries to catch up to the number 4 of Trevor Haley. Benson, unfortunately, finished just outside of the top 10 at Daytona, but in a case like that, you probably are happier you survived Daytona in that way instead of getting wrecked out that early. But the 38 is approaching the 4, going to use the draft to get into turns 1 and 2. Now let's look at the exact lap that Kyle Benson runs here. Just gives you the sense of what it's like to run here in Michigan. Actually, we'll do that a little later. Caution is out for the first time tonight. It looks like Lance Hill is involved, and Curtis Kelly hard into the outside wall on the front stretch. And Kelly will tow it to pit road. Heavy damage on his number 71. And only slight damage to the Worldwide Express, number 1 of Lance Hill. Both of them finding trouble here at lap 17. Here's a look at it. This is a fight with Michael Newbraw further back in the pack. Oh, and you see right there, Michael Newbraw just slides up. They run out of space. The 71 not fully clear of the 1 car on top. We'll take another look at it here from a closer angle. So the 1 gets a big run on Kelly here in the Skybox NASCAR Toyota Supra. There's Michael Newbraw on the bottom. He's going to slide up right here just as the 71 creeps into the picture, and he gets hooked right into the 1. They both hit the outside wall, and they're both nose to nose as they come to an almost complete stop near the end of the front straightaway. Hill able to continue. Kelly, not so much. We'll look on board with the 1 machine, and this is what he saw from the front of his Stonks Motorsports Supra. And just not much you can do there when the space closes up, and Hill, unfortunately, gets some of the brunt of the impact. Curtis Kelly immediately towing it to pit road. Looks like his night is put on the back foot early. He's going to be already a lap down in 33rd. Now, there is another car a lap down or more. That is Christopher Bishop, put 3 laps down in 34th. Those are the only lapped cars of the short action here from Michigan. And here are the leaders. Didn't take long before they decided to come in to feed. And there's Bishop staying out in the background, but the leaders are in this time by at lap 18. It looks like Lawson Peel very much missed his pit stall, has to go out. That's going to be lost time. Eric Schaefer slides in. And all of them going to take some 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles and some fuel on the way out. Scott Healy among those early. Eric Schaefer tries to beat the rest out of pit road, but he will fall short to 4th. Trevor Haley, Benson, Schaefer all trailing Ethan Fonseca Moreno after the first round of green flag stops. Or rather, caution stops. Excuse me there. So Ethan Fonseca Moreno in the 43 will lead them out of pit road after our first yellow of the evening. You're watching coverage of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series from Brooklyn, Michigan. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway, just ready for the restart on lap 21, and what a start by the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, able to pull away handily over Kyle Benson, Trevor Haley, Eric Schaefer, and Brandon Banks. Those were the top 5 of our first round of stops under our first yellow of the evening. The 43 pulls away by about 0.3 of a second. Benson and Haley trying to fight. Now Eric Schaefer gives the bump and the push to turn 3. And we saw early the tempo set rather slowly through the first couple of laps. Everybody getting comfortable at the beginning. Then our first yellow coming out with the 1 of Lance Hill and the 71 of Curtis Kelly. Here's a fight for P6. Tony Kivett trying to hold off Adam Alshire and Jaden Porter. And we saw the 91 fall off quite a bit in the opening run of the race. He was, of course, inside the top 3, then fell out of it, and now trying to defend for his life in a brand new paint scheme. A big run out of turn 2. He'll swap to the inside of the 76. AJ Green almost looking to follow suit on the 28 of Jaden Porter. Now the 91 makes that charge on the inside for 6th. So with the 54 up ahead, that Reese's Machine of Brandon Banks makes it now 2 Drinking Bros Racing Chevrolets inside the top 5. We saw Schaefer approaching the race leader Moreno for a bit on the first run until he had to back out, unfortunately, because the yellow came out. Has to work on Kyle Benson here. Gap has increased, though, to 0.7 of a second. The field comes out of turn 2, washes up quite a bit. Now we've got about a 4-car fight back there for position inside the top 10. And look at Ryan Pandicio on the back skirts, the outskirts rather, of this. Pandicio, one of those at the young Skybox team that picked up their first win at Daytona last week. And look at the mission up front for guys like Tyler Murray and company. They are 3 wide, entering turn 1 for a moment. Jacob Locklear, the rookie, in the middle. He'll slide up. Colin Forrester making a dash on the high side. Adam Alishire, though, playing massive defense on everybody in front. A look on board from Locklear. Both go side by side at this juncture, and it'll be almost contact there between the 99 and the 91. Alishire will stay in the draft, and this is exactly what I was mentioning. The drivers up top being able to keep in the draft and get the momentum on anyone that's making a pace down low. He's able to slot single file, be able to run like some bumper cars. Looks like the 99 will not give it away without a fight. The 36 and the Dollar General machine of Tyler Murray going up to the inside lane. Looks like our best battle so far on the race is Kyle Benson and Eric Schaefer. They're still around each other, but not much to be said between those two. It continues to remain contentious between the Supras here around the mid-pack. And while we haven't seen that much stuff out of Colin Forrester this season, he's been trying to slowly creep up to the rankings. He hasn't found himself in the top 20 in standings yet, based on what's been an up and down year for the Aaron Street machine. And last week at Daytona, ultimately suffered the consequences. 36 of Tyler Murray is sent to round by Jacob Locklear. Both of them making contact, and that will bring out the second yellow of the night. And heavy damage to the Dollar General 36. And here's a look at the replay off of turn 2. Wasn't quite clear of the 97 there. They both make the contact, and Lawson Peel getting the brunt of the impact there on the back end of it. The 6 of Michael Newbraw also sliding through. See if we can get a better look at it here. You see the 36 washes up out of 2. Locklear tries to force his nose there. I think he moved a little bit lower on the racetrack and came down into the 36. And then as the 36 chased toward the apron, the 12 of Lawson Peel had nowhere to go. Makes that contact, and that might put him out of this race early. A look on board with Peel. What, nowhere to go. See the front end damage, that hood going flying immediately. And there was another car down there, it appears, with severe damage. We're going to try to identify who that was. Looked like an orange car of some sort. Might have been Craig Lounslager, who picked up some of the contact. Just looks like went for a little bit of a skip through the grass. So no damage there to the 13 of Craig Lounslager. He will hold on to his race car. Other drivers are on pit road. And for the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, he will hold on to the lead for a little longer. No fight, though, for second or for third. As the 43 of Moreno will hold on. All right, well, for those tuning in to the KBueno Racing Network tonight on our coverage of the 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series, if you want to ask a question to us up in the broadcast booth, you can use the hashtag AskKBRN and put any question you like. We'll be sure to answer it over the course of tonight's show. Unfortunately, I don't have a co-commentator with me, so just going to have to try and carry this all by myself. And we'll be around 2 to green here with the entire field single file behind the 43 of Moreno. Now, Moreno comes into this race with the 3rd most laps led by anyone in the series this year, the most 332 by TJ Bursk. His teammate Luke Canup is around 270. It's around 157 and counting now with the way that the 43 has held this position up front. Now he'll choose the outside lane as we'll get the 1 to green. Kyle Benson on his inside. Eric Schaefer, Trevor Haley back in row 2. So they'll all be double file. It appears we look at some of those who are taking damage repair. There's the 6 of Michael Newball. Looks like the 14 of Jeff No. Lawson Peel has fallen 1 lap down to the leaders, although he's all the way in the outside wall. I believe his suspension might be damaged. You see that left front brought all the way to the left side of the race car. Looks to be turned all the way left. That car is not behaving properly. It looks like the 2-time winner here from Michigan will unfortunately suffer the consequences of being that innocent bystander on the wreck. He'll bring it down pit road. As a reminder, Curtis Kelly, who was involved in our first caution, he has since put it behind the wall. So he is in the garage, multiple laps down. It looks like he will be out of tonight's race, our first DNF of the evening. So pace car will bring us out of turn 4. Come down and let the leaders roll through to turn 1. The 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno with the lead in hand. Kyle Benson on his inside. First time the 43 chooses the very top. He'll enter the restart zone with a head of steam. Green flag in the air from Michigan in the 36, or the 38 rather, of Benson trying to hold on. Eric Schaefer to give him the push to turn 1. And they'll be side by side behind us. Here's Benson, challenge for the lead for the first time tonight. A slide job in 3 and 4 gives the 38 command. Moreno aiming at the crossover. Does he have it? Yes, he does. He'll go down low with help from the 3. Our best battle of the night happens at lap 30. Trevor Haley giving support to the Ford up top of Benson. And the Chevrolet's on the bottom. The 43 slides ahead. He nudges forward. He takes the lead back after at least 1 lap of absence. The 3 of Schaefer will slot in single file. So will Trevor Haley. And look at the skirmish that's happening behind them. Almost 3 wide. Almost a bit of contact. Jaden Porter leading this group from 6 on back. And AJ Green moving up to make it 3 wide. He'll give the push to his teammate, Colin Forrester, on the backstretch. And our best battles of the race happening right now. A look on board with Forrester as he tries to get the outside of Jaden Porter. And Forrester, the Jacksonville native, see him out of turn 2 to slotting up high. And almost getting into that outside wall, but he uses the momentum here from his teammate in the 48. Going to give him that push, and the Beef Machine will get Forrester the position for the moment into 6th place. And so far up front, no other battles. The 38 has fallen out of reach of your race leader in the 43 of Moreno. Top 5 starting to break away as the rest of the top 10 tries to decide where they're going to be. And there's Scott Healy, who came home 33rd last week at Daytona after suffering a huge crash with a bunch of other drivers. It has not been the season that we've come to expect out of the Season 2 champion of the series. But for Healy, he's moved up into 12th, trying to work on Wyatt Brackett here to the inside. Now, what you're noticing here, especially off the look from the 64, are the lines that everyone's taking. Of course, you do have those that are about 3 or so lanes higher. They're closer to the outside wall. Some are daring enough to go all the way to the safer barrier to get as much momentum as possible. But the key to being fast and saving tires here at Michigan is having the left side tires on the seam. What we usually conjure up as seams here in iRacing and of course in real life racing are the lines that make up different portions of asphalt or concrete on a racing surface. So here we'll get a look off the front end of the 4. You watch the 3 down low. You see these lines that separate sectors of the track, sort of acting as little lanes of their own, sort of like a slot car track. Those are the seams, those lines that you can get some grip from. And drivers are most notably here at Michigan using that second seam. So right above that first line, they're not exactly down to the yellow line. They're just arcing it towards that first darkish line on the bottom of the track. They get their left side tires on that. They're able to get more grip, more rotation through the corner, and most of all, they can save their tires. They don't have to use them up more over the run. So if you watch drivers using that line over the course of the race, that's exactly why. It's a strategy ploy. And here for the 3 of Schaefer, prime example of using the left side tires to go a bit under that seam, get a bit more rotation, and therefore get more gas off the corner. That's a big thing about racing here at these larger 2-mile ovals. Auto Club and Michigan, they both feature the same things where you are having to use a lot of throttle to carry through, and drivers do get a little over-eager in that sense. As here's Forrester moving up in a 5th. Great move on the outside. He's bringing his teammate AJ Green with him. So now side by side further back, Tony Kivett still fighting here with the 99. And the 48 of AJ Green not that far behind either. It looks like a backfall here for the 54 of Brandon Banks. He has dropped to 12th place after being inside the top 5 at the most recent restart. Looks like he's in a bout with the 34 of Austin Reedy, Craig Laumslager. And now Laumslager going for his own spot. He'll move to the inside. Both him and Reedy find themselves in the top 14 in point standings. And for the year that the 34 has had up until this point, you'd figure that he'd be way out of the ballpark of top 20 eligibility. He has been dealing with a lot of struggles over the season, and it's been so tough for him to get back on track. But as the races have come to him, and as he's gotten a little more comfortable with this Xfinity Series car, now week after week, we're seeing this 34 car compete for positions up front. Him and Murray Reedy Motorsports teammates Wyatt Brackett have shown out as of late. And you look on board with the Speedy Fast, or Speedy Cash, number 34, moving into turn 3. Here's Reedy on the outside. We're looking at him on Wyatt Brackett and Scott Healy. And battle further behind, Ryan Pandiccio behind them, one of the rookie guys. And did find himself inside the top 20 or so for a while. He still is there, just barely inside the top 14. As he works to the inside of the 13, Craig Laumslager. That'll be a fight for 14th place. So top 4 have broken away by a slightly bit of a margin there. Colin Forrester back in 5th. And the 38 of Benson just holding on for the moment. And then the draft of the 4, Trevor Haley, the 3, Eric Schaefer, and now the 43 of Moreno. Now, we saw these two battle at Las Vegas earlier in the season. And while the 43 was able to win that fight, Schaefer has consistently been the better driver week in and week out. And it appears Michigan is no different. But it's all about using the draft from behind them. So he will be able to get a run on Moreno if the run stretches long enough. Already at 21 for these guys who just pitted. Not necessarily the worst thing in the world, though. If you can use the 4 and the 38 to your advantage, and while they are within half a second, they can use all of that draft. They can bring you a little closer to the driver who currently holds on to the lead. A look on board with Schaefer. He works through the 1 and 2. Right into 3 and 4. And so the 38 still trying to fight with the 4. Looks like they've brought the 99 of Colin Forrester into the conversation. Boy, he's got one of the fastest laps inside this top 10. 40.709, and then faster for Tony Kivitt. 6.7 until 40.8. The 38 now moves to the inside of Trevor Haley for third. He'll slide in ahead. Haley's not going to fight him, at least for now. Might have the run here out of turn 2. Before the moment, give that spot to Kyle Benson. Haley will slot back into 4th, and they're bringing all of the cars behind them. Move to the inside, and Forrester looking to use that middle lane now. A crossover attempted here. He'll swat to the inside. He'll try to get a run here on the rookie, but we'll give him the push instead. We'll try to get there as we complete lap number 43 of 125. Your leader still, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Let's turn up the sounds and crank it up here on the KBueno Racing Network. Here comes Eric Schaefer. Last couple of laps, he has closed in on your race leader, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and he has chopped up a couple of advantages in his sleeve. He's now behind by about 0.2 of a second. They are approaching a lapped car ahead. We presume that is Jeff No or Christopher Bishop in the number 42 or the 14, but the 3 car slowly inching closer to the 43, and we might have our second battle for the lead tonight near halfway. Schaefer catches into the draft. That's the biggest key to success here at Michigan, is using the draft and the turbulent air to your advantage. He skips up about a lane or so higher than the 43. You watch the 99 in the background tried to go at it with the 38 of Kyle Benson, but to no avail. They'll single file out. It's about a 4-car train back there, but the 3 is going to try and size up this 43 and make an effort here on the inside of 3 and 4. And Schaefer has the most top 5s out of anyone in Season 6. He's got a total of 9. The next closest is the driver you're seeing up in front with 6, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. These two arguably have been the best drivers in the series if you don't count Lawson Peel. And now at around lap 50, they're going to do battle if the 3 can get any much closer to that Vaporwave Moreno machine. This is a great battle building up inside the top 6. Tony Kibbett has remained in the top 5 about all night long. And up ahead, now here comes Schaefer unleashing his pass. So he'll make the move on the inside of 3 and 4. They'll stay door locked, entering the corner on the 14 degrees of banking. Exiting turn 4, the 3 will have the momentum, but the 43 will fight hard up top. As one car enters pit road, Kyle Benson around 30 laps in. So that's the mark for drivers to come in. And it's been a blur since we had that last pit stop for the leaders under our first caution of the night. And the leaders did stay out at the second yellow involving Lawson Peel and, of course, involving the 36 of Tyler Murray. And we still remain side by side for the race lead. The 43 aims to the inside of the racetrack. He tries to snipe the Schaefer car on the bottom. And the farthest we've seen the 43 reach low on the racetrack, but it won't work. The 3 will have the momentum off the corner. He almost brushes the outside wall. We are still door to door, and now leaders are entering pit road behind them. Colin Forrester and AJ Green, the 2 Stocks Motorsports Toyotas, are in. So there's Green, the driver out of Clemens, North Carolina. So he comes in, the beef machine, with his teammate. And so they are the only 2, presumably, that have made their way down pit road. It's a rather interesting decision for these guys to go rather separately. And I believe right in front, that is Kyle Benson. Look at the 43 almost deal the bumper to the Busch Chevrolet of Eric Schaefer. It is getting contentious up here, and they have pulled away by a landslide. Ever since Kyle Benson entered pit road, leaves about 1.3 seconds out to those behind. Tony Kibbett might offer some Drinkin' Bros Racing assistance if he can get a little closer. Now look at the crossover here by the 3. A move at the exit of turn 2. He's got the inside, and the lap cars of Green and Forrester now in their way to make it 3 wide. And this is going to be crucial here on the fresher tires. Green and Forrester are. How quickly they will make of these 2. And we'll see if Schaefer gets a little closer to the bottom just so he can enter pit road. He will hop on the brakes. So will Moreno, and the 43. Your leaders are in without a hitch. Trevor Haley right behind will come in as well. It looks like Austin Reedy in the 34 will enter maybe a lap or so later. Same deal with Brandon Banks in the 54, but Jacob Lochner is in. Ryan Pandicio is in. Scott Healy, Jason Hastings. I'm on a 6 or 7 car pack entering a lap 53. Now, with this fuel tank in the Xfinity Series car here at Michigan, you can go around 30 to 35 laps on a tank of fuel. We saw Kyle Benson go at the beginning of the window at lap 30. Now we're watching leader Tony Kibbett hop on the brakes here. Lap 34 completed on his stint. So he'll enter into the pit lane. Austin Reedy will come up right behind him. Now, whether he enters pit road is the question to be answered. Now he will follow suit. So will Jaden Porter, the Louisville, Kentucky native. Brandon Banks. Looks like another car right behind them as well that finds their way in. David Brackett has found his way to pit road. Brady Cox in the 78. There's the 33 of Tyler Warner, so that will hand the lead over to Patrick Thompson. Now, for those that did pit early, Kyle Benson and company, they have spent the majority of this session on green flag pit stops trying to unlap themselves. Benson back in 15th, and so he will be the net race leader should things cycle out in his favor, but he will have Moreno and Eric Schaefer not too far behind. There's your defending champ, Porter coming out. Everybody else also coming out as well. Patrick Thompson yet to enter the lane. Subway Chevrolet looking fresh out in front. Jesse Priest, Lance Hill to complete your top 3. Now, the biggest difference in tires appears to be about 2 or so laps, and Kyle Benson holds on to the main spot by 1 lap, with the advantage going to Colin Forrester on tires, who's right behind him. Now, we saw the AJ Green machine make use of the 2 leaders, but it was probably a little bit of a poor example considering the leaders were coming down pit road as soon as Forrester and Green were getting through them, and Schaefer luckily has been able to splinter in between Green and Forrester for position number 11, so he'll be net race P2 once things cycle out, unless he finds that fight with Moreno, which might happen sooner than later because the 43 darts to the inside. He'll make this move on AJ Green in the 48. Now, Green, of course, has been hanging around the top 15 in point standings for a little while now, although he's near the bottom of the barrel when it comes down to the drivers who theoretically would make the playoffs in point standings. He and Ryan Pandicio are those who are just on the bubble there with everybody behind them. Jaden Porter, who's 2 points back, he definitely needs a good run on the 48. Ryan Pandicio, of course, he's further back inside the top 15 or so. We've got Patrick Thompson, who is leading this race for now. We expect him to come down pit road a little sooner than later, although he's only on lap 29 of his stint after taking fuel only on his last stop. And so a lot of points to be had here at Michigan, especially before the Thanksgiving break. We're going to have 2 weeks off in the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. So if you can get a lot of momentum entering the Thanksgiving break, drivers will take that time off. You can swing that momentum to your advantage once we get to Old Atlanta later on in the season. Then when we get to Watkins Glen, and by the time we approach that All-Star break, that'll really be considered the official halfway mark of the season. And sort of like an NBA All-Star break, it separates the first part of the year to the second. And so that'll be very pivotal for those who have picked up nice finishes over the last couple of weeks. Colin Forrester has been able to definitely surge ahead of his teammate AJ Green as of late. We have more drivers on pit road this time by. Looks like Michael Newbraw is in the 6 car. So there's Newbraw in his pink and blue Chevrolet. We're still awaiting those at the front to make their move to pit road. It's about 2 or so seconds from Thompson back to Lance Hill in second. So Hill is using this overcut to his advantage. Remember, he was involved in the first caution tonight. And the driver out of Winchester, Tennessee, is sort of cycling out in his own way, right? You think of where he was involved in, all of the track position that he did lose in that incident with Curtis Kelly in the 71. Wasn't that much damage for the Supra. And as he comes down pit road now, it appears that will be the best case scenario for him. A bit of a sideways movement, entering the pit lane and kept it together, so almost spun away from him. But he's going to hold on to it. And there's Brian Terry, the 31 car, who started last tonight. He is in. And so all eyes on those up at the front, taking away the net race positions. Colin Forrester second to Kyle Benson, and with those 2, Hill and Terry, coming down pit road, that moves Benson to 5th. But here comes Forrester with a head of steam. He almost gives the bumper to the Dude Wipes Ford Mustang, and I'm sure Benson's probably going to be wanting some Dude Wipes right now because there are many heavy hitters in a single file train behind, and no time wasted for Eric Schaefer. Dart on the inside for position number 6. Looks like it won't take him long either to handle the 38. The 43 will follow suit in the draft. And so these drivers will go 2 by 2, leaving AJ Green behind. And Eric Schaefer at the stripe will take the net race lead. Jeff Noe will take the official race lead, but he is the last to come in. He only had a 4.1 second stop 32 laps ago. And here's Schaefer on the inside. Benson fighting back, but has to hold back at the moment. The 43 will come right to the inside and make that a challenge for net position number 2. And as Jeff Noe will stay out an extra lap, he'll wait for his cue to come in, the TJ's Team Ford Mustang, and the promising rookie for MTC Esports. He'll wait to come down pit road. He is clutching and coasting to get as much out of the fuel tank as possible, but Eric Schaefer currently is the net race leader, Kyle Benson, and the 43 of Moreno still going at it for the second spot behind them. Now, Benson's gone 3 straight races without finishing inside the top 10, and tonight he's definitely looking for some sort of turnaround here. He'll stay in the draft of the 99 of Forrester, and while those two ahead, Schaefer and Moreno, do have about 2 or so lap fresher tires, might see that even out if these two start to go at it. Making a battle for the lead as Jeff Noe still remains out, clutching and coasting. And it looks like he'll get the call now. So he enters the pit lane out of turn 4. He'll make pit road speed limit without a problem. And the 14 is in, completing the cycle and giving Eric Schaefer the race lead here at Michigan. We'll take a moment and go side by side, but you won't miss a thing here from Brooklyn, Michigan. Coverage of the 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series on the other side.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
wanted the best, you got him for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
Welcome back to Michigan. Coverage of the 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series is brought to you by iRacing. Get your sim racing career started today at iRacing.com. by TJ's team. To learn more about the Foundation's mission to end pediatric cancer, go to wearmorethancape.org. And by Paul's Setup Shop. We are in a dead heat battle for the race lead after a cycle on green flag stops. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who led this race from the pole, is in the fight with Eric Schaefer, who came out in the net race lead after the last car, Jeff No, who stayed out as long as about 33 laps, came into his pit stall. Now the 3 and the 43 are once again doing battle for the first position on the racetrack with around 55 laps to go, and both of these two have seen their fair share of moments up front tonight. They have started up front, they have ran inside the top 3 almost all night long, and look at the distance they have pulled from guys like Colin Forrester, Kyle Benson, and AJ Green, who close out the rest of your current top 5. Now your 2 leaders have 2-lap fresher tires than those ahead, as we are expecting another pit stop in the next 20 or so laps. But for the moment, these two have been absolutely dogging at it, and they have not let go. The 3 stays on the bottom. The 43 will keep the pressure up top. And with no extra drafting help from either of these two, they can stay gridlocked for as long as possible. Only problem is they'll lose that time to Forrester, and they might end up using their tires more than they would like at this juncture of the race. Now, we talked about Forrester holding on to 3rd place. Well, here's defending against a rather decent group of cars that's forming behind them. Sort of categorize it as an accordion effect here with Kyle Benson in the 38. AJ Green, the Stonks Motorsports teammate, back in 5th. Scott Healy, who has worked his way up through the field, he's up to P6. 7th place behind them, Austin Reedy for Murray Reedy Motorsports in 7th place. And so you've got a pretty unique batch of drivers at this juncture as the leaders continue to go at it side by side. But the entire field has separated apart from these group of drivers that have clustered, including Kyle Benson in the number 38. He started tonight inside the top 6. He only has 1 lap led to his credit, but he has definitely performed well, and he stacks up a bit as he gives the bumper there to the 99, trying to make a move here. But Forrester has been on a much tougher route as he'll have teammate support from the 48 entering turn 1. Forrester started tonight in 27th place. The Florida native who crashed out of last week's Daytona race is rebounding in the best possible way. It sort of felt like a checkers or wreckers season for Forrester, who picked up a couple of wins last season in the next-gen car. He had about 3 of those in his back pocket. And then picked up 2 more later on in the season to get 5. He was 2 wins short of Lawson Peel, who had the most wins by any driver in any season in 4-wide history. He did it 2 seasons in a row. But as these drivers have clutched up in their respective groups, Scott Healy and Austin Reedy, well, they're now starting to tally it up. They're starting to make it a larger group, in the 64 is charging on the bottom, rather aggressive, and now the 34 fills the space up top. So we'll continue to eye on this battle as it moves forward. But up front, still side by side, Schaefer not giving this one up. He'll slide job in turn 3, and the 43 will give him the chance to take the clean air, but not before an attempted crossover out of 4. And what a battle we're witnessing here out of the Virginia driver up front and the California driver underneath. And Moreno will try again to fill the space on the bottom. Schaefer a bit loose at the exit of turn 2, but he'll rotate properly, and they will still remain side by side. That gap has slightly opened up, though, to about 2.1 seconds, and you'd figure that this side-by-side action would only create more slow laps and create lost time. Well, it's not necessarily doing that effect. Almost a bit of rubbing between the two, and the 43 slid up on the 3 car, and they're going to stay door to door. These Chevrolets providing a fantastic battle here from Brooklyn, Michigan. And a beautiful look here from the 43 of Moreno. You see just how hard he's having to fight the wheel to arc it off of the corner. And the 2 different effects that they struggled there. Going to the back straightaway. The 43 had to kick the car right to avoid it spinning out. Got a little loose out of the corner as he ran the top side With the 3, seems to be wearing the right front a little more. He washes up higher on the racetrack, and he almost gets into the wall. Look at Moreno sideways out of the corner, holding on to it. But he is letting Schaefer pull away quite a bit. And the 43 now more than an arm's length of reach away. At lap 77, and he may have to start thinking about this next pit stop because it is beginning to approach rather quickly. We've seen this race go by in a flash, and the first driver who has to think about it is Kyle Benson. 27 laps he's put into his race car already and to his fuel tank. He was the first one to pit as soon as the window opened at lap 30 on a stint. Benson was in. Does he extend it farther this time by? And the question also you can ask is anyone going to save at this stage of the race to avoid pitting so early that they won't have fresh tires by the end of the run? Because these guys are expected to pit at around 10 or so, maybe 5 to 10 laps from now. So that'll give them about 45 laps of length. So either they'll have to split it in some way that'll give them enough fuel in the tank to get to the end, or possibly a 2-stopper to the end of this race if they use it all up. As here's Austin Reedy dialing up the inside on AJ Green. Also a move to the field for the 34 of Austin Reedy. Done a great job of gaining position throughout the race. He started pretty far back in tonight's field, and he finished 12th last week at Daytona. And the 34 car making his name known early. So much like Colin Forrester started beneath the top 25, it was a 26th starting position for Reedy, but he is the lone car on the inside, and he's going to try and block here ahead of the 64. Make this a really tightly knit group of about 6 or so cars, bringing in Tony Kibbett, who's found himself into 8th. How about the run for Tony Kibbett tonight in the 76? Has done an absolutely phenomenal job. The driver out of Southern Maryland and the DMV area. Nepal's Setup Shop Chevrolet Camaro. Beautiful paint scheme, by the way. Brand new for tonight's race from Michigan. And Kibbett has been balling tonight inside the top 10 all race long. Had a great qualifying effort. And what a points day this is shaping up to be for the 76. Only adding to the Drinkin' Bros Racing numbers that have been few and far between to find here in Michigan tonight. Other than Schaefer, Tony Kibbett is really the only Drinkin' Bros Racing driver inside the top 10. You have to look back to Brandon Banks, who's in 11th. And then Jesse Prees back in 15th. And you have to scour through the field and then all the way back to Lawson Peel, who had a heavily damaged race car. He is still on pit road with 51 lap old tires. You just saw one car exit pit road. That was Brady Cox in the number 78 machine. So he comes in rather early, a lap 80. Might split this into a 2-stop strategy to close off the race. How about Craig Lautenschlager in the number 13, fighting with his teammate here? And they'll get by one of the guys who just came down pit road, and it looks like there are way more drivers on pit road this time by from the front. AJ Green is in. Kyle Benson is in. Tony Kibbett, Trevor Haley. And it looks like Colin Forster, too, misses his pit box by a mile. We'll have to re-park it onto the lane. As there's Jesse Prees in. That'll leave Schaefer and Moreno a couple of more laps to settle this out. Now Schaefer is going to hop on the brakes. He comes in with a head of steam. The 43 will stay out. And Schaefer will find his way to the pit lane. Scott Healy will follow. With 43 laps left to go. Looks like Brandon Banks has found himself in as well. There's Wyatt Brackett in the 10 car we just dialed in after watching the battle between him and Craig Lautenschlager. And now it's up to the San Jose, California native of Ethan Fonseca Moreno to make his decision. He lifts off the gas pedal, flutters it quite a bit, revs drop. Now he kicks it into third gear on the brakes to the yellow line. And the commitment cone, nice save. The 43 is in. His teammate, Jaden Porter, defending champion, right behind him. And again, it's all about the fresher tires on this run. Benson came out first. Him and Trevor Haley going at it for position, and they have been all over the place. It looks like Schaefer will have the upper hand, though. He will attain the net race lead by a substantial margin, and as Ethan Fonseca Moreno will come in this time by. There he is, getting the left sides kicked up on his Chevrolet Camaro. There's the rear tire spinning up. He's off and away, but he will not win this race. To Schaefer in the 3, who will catch up right before turn 1. Moreno will have to merge, get through the gears, and hopefully in enough time catch up to the 3 on about a 1 lap difference between the two. And there's the distance. You see that purple car in the distance, the 43, and then here's Schaefer. That's about 1.6 seconds worth of distance between those two. But we'll see just how much a 1 lap difference will make on tire strategy, as we'll have the rest of the drivers come in. Austin Reedy, Patrick Thompson, Lance Hill, Michael Newbraw, Craig Parks, Cody Kinsey, David Brackett, Jeff Noe, and Brian Terry are among those to stay out this long. And it seems to be two different philosophies at play here, in the sense that you're looking at a bulk of the leaders come in right at the opening of the window, lap 30 to 31, maybe some at 32, but here for Reedy, he has extended it to 31, and he'll probably extend it a couple of more laps if need be. And again, it's about winning those laps down on your specific strategy to get the freshest set of tires, and of course, biggest concern, to line up the fuel as much as you can and fill it up to the brim where you can make it to the end of this race. On a tank, the 34 a little sideways on the brakes. He will make it safely to the pit road entry, and the 3 of Eric Schaefer, who is 10th, will have to wait for the 8 or so cars to shuffle out in front of him for him to take the net race lead by about 2 or 1.9 seconds rather, almost 2, between him and Ethan Fonseca Moreno with 1 lap fresher tire. Schaefer will encounter some of the lap traffic around him, gets around Brian Terry. These actually are the lead lap cars yet to pit. So there's Jeff Noe. Craig Parks will be up the road. There's Brady Cox in the 78, who fell about a lap down. He's trapped in 29th on the racetrack. And so Schaefer has this advantage clearly. AJ Green, who pitted the same lap. Now, that will be a big question mark as well, because he had 2 lap older tires than the 43 in front. But now that they're on the same playing field, does this change the mindset for the 48? Is it to catch the 43 and pass him? Is it to work with the 43 and catch up to the 3 car who's leading this race? What is he thinking behind the wheel? And what will he do in turn? Patrick Thompson holds on to the lead for now. Lance Hill will follow suit. We expect Hill to come down pit road sooner than later. Looks like he's slowing down, so he'll arc it down to the entrance of pit road. He is in. Cody Kinsey will stay out behind him. Cody Kinsey, the driver out of Keystone Heights, Florida. And he'll come through. Michael Newbraw will be right behind him for Drinkin' Bros Racing, driver out of Elyria, Ohio. And another paint scheme worthy of note, but he'll enter the top 3 for the first time tonight on the pit strategy. Him and Craig Parks going at it for position here out of turn 2. Parks almost hitting the outside wall here. Patrick Thompson, of course, still up front. We'll eye on whether that green and yellow Subway Chevrolet Camaro comes in, but we should expect that in around 5 or so laps. So the largest amount of distance we've seen the leaders after a green flag sequence. We saw them definitely clustered more together after the first round of green flag stops. And it definitely came down to the lap they went in. Moreno appeared like he wanted to overcut by about a lap, or at least was not expecting Schaefer to come in while they were going at it for the lead. And Schaefer, of course, with this undercut, it seems to be working. Even though it's about a 1 lap difference, Moreno really hasn't gained all that much time. It is crunched down a bit to 1.2 seconds, admittedly, but the gain rate for the 43 is not as much as you'd expect. And you can put in the conversation of, all right, well, if a driver has 1 lap older tires up front, the driver with 1 lap newer tires should catch up to him in a good amount of time and get past him. But here on iRacing, of course, and in racing in general, if you have a decent gap and you are pushing yourself to the very limit on your tires to catch up to the race leader and the driver on old tires, in this case the 3 of Eric Schaefer, you find yourself in a predicament where you use up your stuff over the run in an attempt to catch up, and if you don't, or even if you do get close, there can be a cliff point where those tires will fall off. All of a sudden, you don't have the grip that you once had to your advantage, and there you are, evenly locked with the driver ahead, or in the worst case scenario, with worse tires than the driver in front. Here's a look on board with Kyle Benson, him and Scott Healy potentially going at it for 8th place on the track, although Healy will back out from making a move on Benson. Entering turn 1, says, hey, let's catch up to Trevor Haley. Let's make this a 3-car race. And let's close in on time. So Healy making the smarter move. And a great race put up by Scott Healy so far tonight after 2 weeks where he suffered the worst of the hurricane at Bristol, where he went up and over and into the air. One of the worst crashes we've seen this season. And then at Daytona, also getting involved in our biggest crash of the night. So for Healy, this is a fantastic rebound to finish inside the top 5 or so once this all cycles out. We still remain with Patrick Thompson, Cody Kinsey, and Craig Parks yet to pit here with 33 laps to go. We'll keep an eye here on the 3 of Eric Schaefer holding on to the race lead. Brady Cox right behind in the Sick Kids versus Chevrolet Camaro. Looks like Cody Kinsey has called for the pits, so he is in. Tyler Murray ahead. There's Tyler Warner as well for good measure. 2 of the Murray-Ritty Motorsports Mustangs. Bit of a tongue twister there, but there's Cody Kinsey in on the lane. So the Florida native will come in on the Alpine Stars Chevrolet. So that leaves Thompson and Parks yet to pit. Now here's the 88. He hops on the brakes. Flame sputter out of the right side of the car. He comes in. Next up, the 17 of Parks' rookie driver. So it looks like he flutters in the throttle. He aims for the entrance of pit road. So he will come in. Eric Schaefer will take the provisional race lead with Brady Cox in tow. And there in the background is Ethan Fonseca Moreno. And he's pulled away from AJ Green, but he's starting to get pulled in by Scott Healy, Trevor Haley, Kyle Benson, and now make it a 4-car group with Jaden Porter at the front of the field. Jaden Porter has had such a tumultuous season up until this point, and while he has started inside the top 10, he's in the exact same place where he began this race from the green flag. The last couple of weeks, it has been an absolute roller coaster, whether they be crashes he's involved in or just not the raw pace he intended to have getting to race week rather, on Wednesdays. Porter has looked a little off throughout the season, but just with the change of scenery, change of race car, does dynamically alter the way you drive and alters your momentum. And if you do get a string of poor finishes or you don't have a lot of luck go your way, it could stay that way for the season. So it's nice to see Porter getting into his groove tonight from Michigan. And if he can complete this with a top 10 or even a top 5 run, this would be monumental to his efforts in getting into the playoffs and defending the crown. That's been something that has hung over the head of every single champion in this series, whether it be Lawson Peel or AJ Green or Jaden Porter entering this season, or even Scott Healy back in season 2. The champion has never been able to get back to glory. Now for Lawson Peel, one of those exceptions in which he made it back to the championship 5 after winning the title the season before. But in that final race at Homestead, just came down to the last couple of laps. Unfortunately, things did not go his way. Fate did not decide that he was going to be the year champion and gave it to the rookie Jaden Porter. So it all goes into somewhat of a storyline weaved into 4-wide racing history where we've never seen a repeat champion. Look at Brady Cox snag the outside wall there, got a little loose. Probably a little scary there for Moreno, who's chasing in second. And this is good news for Moreno here. You've got the leader entering lap traffic. And while it is a wide enough track for those lapped cars to get out of the way, the draft is going to be monumental, and they can give him dirty air, which in turn will slow him down. Will give him more understeer as the air hits the front nose. And for Moreno, it's already proven to be good news. He's trending in the right direction inside half a second of the race leader. We approach 28 laps to go. And just a beautiful look on board with Moreno, getting a sense of where he's running his line. And there's how quickly he's implementing the throttle. You can hear it on the in-car camera, even here on the nose cam, and he's inside 0.5 of a second, so he is within striking distance. He does have a bit of drafting help in the form of Brady Cox if he does not pull away. So something to watch for, and we might have another gridlock battle for the race lead, just like we did a little earlier. Now, for these guys, already about 17 or so laps into their stint, we should expect them to come down pit road possibly one more time, depending on the scenario and depending on just how things cycle out. If we get another caution, these guys can come down, and that will be it for fuel strategy. But this race has gone green after our first 2 yellows came in the first 20 or so laps, with Curtis Kelly and Lance Hill being involved in the first, and Tyler Murray and Lawson Peel involved in the second. So it's been definitely fun to watch how the strategy is played out over the race, and a little bit similar to the way Auto Club went, with the strategy taking hold through the first part of the race, and then a caution came out, then all hell broke loose by the end of it, and gave Lawson Peel the win in the last 10 or so laps. Can we see the same tonight? Not entirely sure, but this race has fallen in the hands of strategic mind games, and for Moreno, he is closing in. His last lap clocked in 40.746 for Schaefer, 40.874. So if you're the 3, now you're thinking about whether it was the right decision to pit a lap earlier than Moreno did. And with the lap traffic, what's also mostly interesting about that is that the 3 car hasn't really gained on the lap traffic all too much. Brady Cox was the only one he got ahead of, but all of the other guys ahead, they all either pulled away or they have kept the same gap. And the 3 will catch a car right in front. That is his teammate Michael Newbraw, who will give him the space and the time. He'll do the same for the 43, so he'll stay courteous. But all of the other lap cars, they're way out in the distance. Cody Kinsey has pulled away. He did pit, of course, later in the going, so he does have fresher tires, but that does eliminate any of the draft that Schaefer did put up. And here's Moreno. Fantastic run. Out of turn 4, he's within a couple of car lengths for the lead with 24 to go. And you have to imagine one more pit stop is on the horizon. With these drivers entering lap 20 on their stint, they cannot go the next 25 without coming in for a splash of fuel. So this race might decide who comes in and out of pit road in the right way and who cycles out to the ultimate race win. So there's Moreno. Move on the inside. Schaefer shuts the door. Now the 43 noses up top. He's still deciding where to go. 3 car moves down low, and we're door to door for the lead. This is a poor position if you're Eric Schaefer, because the fresh tire car in Moreno can just use the momentum up top, and he does. He's got the nose ahead on the backstretch. And as they enter turn 3, Schaefer will still have it down there as AJ Green settles behind them. Looks like Kyle Benson has fallen a lap down after coming down pit road approximately 2 laps ago to close off his stint. Now Eric Schaefer, his cue to come in. It's like they're splitting this in half, wanting to close it off as early as possible. And so Schaefer's in. Brandon Banks is in. There are more guys following suit. Tony Kibbett has ended up on pit road. Jason Hastings in the 49. He is in. So is, I'm going to say Scott Healy, but he just ended up in a fight with Jaden Porter. We should expect them to come down pit road sooner than later, though, as they're splitting this with around 25 laps to go. And now what do you do if you're Ethan Fonseca Moreno? How long do you stay out before you come in? Looks like the answer is only 1 lap. He follows suit. 48 of AJ Green, Jaden Porter, they're coming in as well. Oh, Porter loose entering the pit lane, but he'll keep it together. Looks like Scott Healy will stay out an extra lap. Looks like he's saving fuel. He is clutching and coasting on the 64. Take a listen. Looks like no full save there for Scott Healy, but no need to, as he'll come down pit road. He will cycle out, and he'll come in entering first and second gear. And so here's the race out of pit road. Schaefer comes out first. Kyle Benson right ahead. Remember, Benson did pit the earliest out of this group, so he wants track position out of all of this. And Moreno will have to beat one more car before he can officially play catch-up to the 3 again. And this is going to be an interesting play because this is a run long enough. 20 laps here at Michigan is a long time. That's about 40 miles. And you are putting a test to your Goodyear Eagles. We saw what Moreno can do on his respective run, but the question is, can he maintain? And can he keep that speed up for longer? Because he will have better lap times now. It's just about staying as tire-saving mode as you can to be able to keep your rubber intact for the rest of the race. Same contenders are out for a little longer than usual. Patrick Thompson, it looks like Nicholas Suzuki is one of the newer ones to stay out this long. Very nice looking Chick-fil-A, number 75. More often than not, we usually see Lawson Peel running the Chick-fil-A car, but that's now the 75 of Vizzuti decided to do it for himself, so he will be in second. And Patrick Thompson, that Subway Chevrolet, we've seen a couple of times so far tonight, just staying out as long as he can. And no real surprise that we're seeing him hold on to the lead, as here's Moreno getting around Craig Parks, one of the older tire cars. And this will be easy work done on the Dude Wipes Ford. And the Pennsylvania driver of Kyle Benson, 43 down low, makes the pass. And now it only separated by 1.7 seconds from the net race leader, Eric Schaefer. There's Jaden Porter in 11th, Trevor Haley and Adam Alishire behind in 12th and 13th. All these drivers separated here at this juncture. Cody Kinsey falling back to 11th on his 15-lap old tires. We've got a pretty decent spread of strategies around the mid-pack. You've got, of course, those who pitted most recently 3 to 4 laps ago. Kyle Benson 8 laps ago, then Craig Parks 14. Adam Alishire at 12. Cody Kinsey at 15. Brandon Banks at 5. And you've got others. Scott Healy at 2. Jeff Noe in the 14 at 10. Ryan Pandicio will make it a case for P17. Make that 7 laps. So here's Pandicio out of the Skybox camp, looking on the outside of the fellow rookie. Both of them top 14 in point standings. Very nice seasons they have put together. And pretty solid outings here from Michigan, despite not being in the full spotlight. Just been good enough to hang in for decent points at this stage of the race. And we're crossing the line here with 15 laps to go. Gap has shrunk barely by about a tenth. 1.6 seconds separate the 3 and the 43. While they have the 75 and the 88 ahead, they're definitely thinking about when they come down pit road. But for sure, the 3 car knows he's going to be up front. He knows for sure that he is going to take this race lead away. And those 2 at the front really aren't going to have any advantage unless a caution does come out. That'll be the big if factor in all of this. We have not seen a caution since the first third of the race here in Brooklyn, Michigan. So it has been an awful while since somebody has found trouble tonight. And gap at 1.5 seconds, so it's about a tenth a lap. And if Moreno holds on to this pace, he should catch up to Schaefer in enough time with the 15 laps that are left and be able to be there by approximately the white flag. So it's now 1.4 seconds. Last lap of 39.6 for the 43. Schaefer with a 39.738. Again, all about tire strategy here at the end of this race. And if you cannot hold on to your stuff, good luck surviving the rest of the way through. Here's AJ Green on board with the North Carolina native as he tries to hold off Tony Kivet. And further back, that green Ford Mustang, Austin Reedy, and then Jaden Porter. Might be a collective 4-car battle. Could cluster up here in the last 14 or so laps. Just shows you the massive amounts of separation that has come from these green flag pit stops. But this is it. That's all she wrote when it comes down to fuel strategy. They are good. It's just all about holding on to the last tire set that they occupy. They have pitted around 4 times. They do have enough, I believe, one more set to give them a shot if a caution does come out. But no reason to take that now, as Vizzuti on old tires will stay out approximately 30 laps on his stint. He will give up track position the normal way, so he will not come down pit road yet. Moreno will have to also deal with the Chick-fil-A car, and Patrick Thompson remains 7.1 seconds ahead. It is just all about being able to wait long enough for Thompson to come in, because Thompson's not saving at all. He's in a great battle with Jason Hastings. I believe this is for the lead lap position. Indeed it is. So Hastings is trying to prevent being put a lap down at the end of this race. Thompson is having a little fun battle with him. And they are still losing time, of course, to the fresh tire Eric Schaefer and company behind. But we know that Thompson should come in. He is not saving. And at this stage is hoping for a yellow to come out in order to turn his race and possibly season around if he can become our newest different winner. While Schaefer has held on to top 2 point standings the entire way through the season, and despite grabbing the most podiums of anyone in the series to date this year, Eric Schaefer has not visited victory lane. While Ethan Fonseca Moreno, he's had more of a back and forth season, and while some races don't go his way, the races that do end up in checkered flags. He is tied for 2 wins, the most of the season, with Lawson Peel and TJ Bursk, both of them also with 2 of their own. So Moreno is looking to break that tie between those 3 and become the winningest driver in Season 6 to date. His last one came at Bristol just 2 weeks ago. So the 43 still has the lingering effects of the race win, while Schaefer, despite being on the podium almost every single week, has yet to see a checkered flag in his hands. And he'll look to become the 3rd Drinkin' Bros Racing Chevrolet to get a race win this year. But the gap is shrinking, 7 tenths. Now almost 6 tenths. Entering turns 3 and 4, there's Brian Terry who goes a lap down. And just as a reminder, we have approximately 23 cars on the lead lap. You were just tuned in to the 49 of Jason Hastings, who was up front of the 88 Patrick Thompson and staying on the lead lap. So if you're liking tonight's coverage here from Michigan International Speedway, we will remind you that after a 2-week break, we'll be back for action at Atlanta. We'll head over to Hampton on the old 2008 iRacing scan of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll go racing at that brash asphalt oval 2 weeks from tonight, or 3 weeks from tonight. That'll be on December 6th at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. You can find it the same place here on the KBueno Racing Network. That'll be a lot of fun, and with the iRacing update and the 2024 Season 1 build looming in the horizon, we are anticipating an oval refresh partial update, which should change the way that drivers handle those bigger tracks, especially Atlanta, with the different lanes and the tire wear that you could experience there. It's partially why they call it Hot Atlanta as well, the temperature that can scorch there as well. And here's a look on board with Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who has closed in by 0.3 of a second. We mentioned a little earlier on that if he closed in a tenth a lap, he should be able to get there by around the white flag or so. Well, it looks like he's proven us wrong. He's within half a second and should be within drafting distance of the 3. But one thing is getting to the back bumper of the 3 car, The other is getting around, and the biggest question mark is Patrick Thompson, who is 25 laps in his stint. He might be able to hold on to the race win on just strategy alone. He is about 5.3 seconds ahead of the two behind them. So while Schaefer might have been in the net race lead, we're looking at Patrick Thompson with a chance at winning his first career four-wide race off of strategy that has come out of nowhere. He started 29th tonight. He has already led 30 laps by staying out as long as possible on every single green flag sequence this evening. And now just 6 laps away from what could be his first win if he does not get caught. And we were spending this whole time thinking about Moreno and Schaefer, who they might go side by side sooner than later. But we did not consider that Thompson, who is 27 laps in his stint, can go to lap 32 without a problem, and he will have enough in the tank to make it to the finish line. And what a story that would be for Thompson if he could become the 7th different winner of the year, as we watch on board with Moreno, who sees his fate slowly slipping away, 2/10 back of Eric Schaefer, and not able to break the armor just yet, as Patrick Thompson, who's around 4.5 seconds ahead, will catch 4 laps to go. And for Thompson, one of the rookie drivers in this series, we have seen some of the highlights for him through the 1.5 miler at Las Vegas and through other tracks on the schedule. Thompson has proven his worth as a driver to watch for, but he really hasn't been able to put all the races together. And while learning a lot through Season 6, is able to push this strategy forward and is only about 6 miles away from his first career four-wide racing win. Lap cars all around him. No real need for worry as Jason Hastings fights with Brandon Gillis, both of them just snake trailing on the back straightaway ahead. And while the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno was on a mission to catch up to Schaefer, he stagnates at around 3/10 back, and they may end up completing this top 3 with no real shot at the race victory. There is 2 more laps left. 3.7 seconds separate Thompson and Eric Schaefer. And Thompson is saving. He is clutching and coasting on his Chevrolet Camaro. He knows he is close enough to get to the end of this race, as there are cars spinning and hitting the inside wall. Jason Hastings and Brandon Gillis go hard into the wall. That's the caution flag. We are in overtime. Oh my goodness. Patrick Thompson just 2 laps away from ultimate glory, and now he will have to face the brunt of an overtime restart. Jason Hastings was the first car, almost put a lap down, was holding on to the final lead lap position in a fight with Brandon Gillis, who was a lap down beneath the top 30. Gillis hits the wall, comes down into the 49, and they both go careening hard into the inside safer barrier. Gillis goes for a tumble, and while that is all underneath the racing line, iRacing still deems it a caution flag. What a change of events from Michigan, as here's a look from Hastings. You can't script it any better than this. Hastings nowhere to go, just a bystander there, and he will slam the wall hard. Brandon Gillis going end over end in his Ford Mustang. Both of them will be tallied as out of tonight's race. as here are the leaders. Entering pit road, Patrick Thompson needs a money stop to stay up front, and this gives a breath of fresh air to Eric Schaefer and Ethan Fonseca Moreno. The 88 will overshoot his pit stall, and that'll lose him considerable time. Eric Schaefer also a bit too far. Entering the box, the 43, picture perfect, left sides and right sides up. And who will take a 2-tire call? Austin Reedy is out first. Most of them taking 2. Kyle Benson elects for an early call. Trevor Haley, out of nowhere, grabs the race lead on 2 tires and 9.4 seconds. What a stop by Trevor Haley. The man who has accumulated 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s in his rookie season will now have control of the lead with 2 laps to go on our next restart. And a 10-second stop by Kyle Benson. We presume he also took 2 tires. Moreno took 4. He's in 3rd. Austin Reedy, 9.8 seconds. 2 tires as well to put him 4th. AJ Green in 5th. And Eric Schaefer, who had a 14.8 second stop, will be forced to sit P6 outside of row number 3 on the restart. Man, has this race changed in just a couple of laps. Mind you, Patrick Thompson, who had the lead, was so close to his first career win, is lodged in 15th. By overshooting his pit stall, and he lost a lot of time off of that. And so we will double them up. Restart at Michigan with 2 to go. And we will be into overtime. We'll have about 3 attempts to get this race done and dusted. And here are how the rules go on a green-white checkered overtime finish. We'll get the green with 2 laps remaining. We'll try to get to the white flag. If a caution comes out before the leader gets to the white at the stripe, then we will double them up and do it all over again. Once more, we have 3 attempts to get that finished. If we exhaust all 3 attempts at a green-white checkered, the driver who's considered the leader at the last attempt caution will be deemed the race winner. And then, of course, the one we're all looking for. If the leader does get to the white without a caution coming out, then that lap will decide it no matter what happens. How about our second straight race entering overtime after last week's festivities at Daytona that gave Adam Alashire the win in just 5 miles of action. And tonight, fate is in the hands of Trevor Haley, rookie driver, with Kyle Benson on his outside, waiting for the green flag. Pace car is down. 4 miles left to go. Here from the Irish Hills of Michigan, will Haley get lucky, or will anyone else steal the clover? Green flag in the air, and we're 3 wide almost for position number 3. And a fantastic start by the 4 of Haley, but mind you, he is only on 2 tires. Moreno is the first on 4. And Schaefer has found his way to the bottom. He'll try to work with the 43 as they're 3 wide further back. The 28 of Porter looks for a charge back there entering turn 3. Now the 43 remains under, and the 4 car tries to get to the white flag. Contact for second as Trevor Haley works it up the hill. He's in the wall. Caution is out. And we'll have another attempt. Figured out what happened at the rear of the field. Oh, that's Ryan Pandicio getting into the 13 of Lounslauger as he chased down the track. Pandicio, I'd say this was something that happened further back, entering turn 3. So this is with Adam Alashire. Oh yeah, 4 wide. Don't make that work there as the 91 goes up into the 63. Jesse Priest barely squeezes by, and as Pendicio held on to the brakes. I mean, he was still rolling down the hill, and the 13 slams into him. Goes up into the 78 of Brady Cox. See if we can get a better look at it here from the rear end of the 63, who gets just tossed around here. And again, the frenetic nature of a 2-lap to go restart just creates this. Right there is where he makes that sideswipe contact with the 13. It gets him all unsettled, and that is what brings out the caution. Trevor Haley escaped narrowly from that. He hit the outside wall exiting 4, and that could have thrown away his race lead entering the white flag lap. And Moreno was hot on his heels behind, trying to get through. But Haley will have an extra shot. Now the question is, does he have damage on his right side? Excuse me there, I was going to say left side, but the right side of the race car, in order to give him aerodynamic damage. That is something we really haven't checked up on most of tonight. Where you hit the outside wall, you get aerodynamic damage. Car's going to lose a couple of miles an hour down the straightaway, even a bit in the corner. It's going to get really rough to handle. So for Haley, he needs to execute here. Again, he is still searching for his first win in the series. Ethan Fonseca Moreno is aiming at his third. He got around Kyle Benson. That was the hardest part. So we'll have to do it again. Our second attempt at overtime here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. What a race it's been so far. I guess I sort of jinxed it in a way by talking about Auto Club, how that race went long on strategy, and then boom, caution flag came out. I had to deal with some more before it was all done. But while the Auto Club caution came out earlier in the race, here at Michigan, comes at around 2 laps to go. And we cross the line. Lights are off on the iRacing official pace car. Second opportunity to get this race ended under green. Trevor Haley, the leader on the restart. Moreno on the outside. Kyle Benson and Eric Schaefer, third and fourth in row number 2. Jaden Porter in the top 5, looking for his best finish since Nashville Super Speedway at the beginning of the year. Austin Reedy in P6. AJ Green 7th. Tony Kibbett aiming at a top 10 tonight in 8th. Brandon Banks in 9th. Colin Forrester for the top 10. Again, to reiterate, Trevor Haley on a 9.4 second stop is on only 2 Goodyear Eagles that are fresh. Moreno has 4 fresh tires at a almost 15 second stop. Kyle Benson also 2 tires, 10.4 seconds. Then Schaefer with 4, Reedy with 2, Porter with 4, Green, Kibbett, Banks with 4, Colin Forrester with 2. Who's got a shot at destiny from Michigan? Does Haley have enough in the tank to feel bliss for the first time in his 4-wide career? Or will Moreno spoil the party? Pace car is down. Second attempt at overtime here in the 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series. And a beautiful launch from the 43 of Moreno gets him even to Trevor Haley entering turn 1. This might be what does it. Haley is going to hang on in 1 and 2, but the 43 looks for the run. Haley slides up off the corner to the back straightaway. The 43 looks at a crossover to the back of the 4, slides up, stays there. The 3 darts low. We're 3 wide for the lead. And Moreno got the door shut. Now we're officially 3 wide. The 4 gets put out of the picture. Schaefer slides up to the 43. We enter the white flag lap, and Jaden Porter arrives out of nowhere for third. White flag. And as these two have been fighting all night long, whether it be physical door-to-door contact, whether it be side-by-side action on the track, whether it be through overall pitch strategy, these two have seen each other all race. They are crashing in the back. AJ Green finds himself hard into the wall. Multiple cars involved, and we'll deal with that later. but it's the charge for 3 and 4 for the final time. Schaefer slots up high. Moreno forced with nowhere to go. Jaden Porter with a shot to end it, but Eric Schaefer to the line finally breaks through for his first win of the year. A photo finish for the second week in a row. 25 hundredths of a second separated the 3 from the 43. And for the first time in Season 6, Eric Schaefer is able to call himself a winner. You just bring out the story of all those top 3s and the many times we've talked to Schaefer over the course of the year already. Wanted the Xfinity Series car in 4 wide. He got it. He's made the most of his opportunity and will be the points leader coming out of Michigan, entering the Thanksgiving break. A much-deserved victory celebration as Eric Schaefer will enter Paul's Setup Shop victory lane. And Schaefer will bring it around. But bringing on the celebrations regardless. Eric Schaefer, the winner here from Brooklyn, becomes the 3rd DBR driver to win a race in Season 6. Had everything checked for this season. A win wasn't one of them. But now he doesn't have to worry about that for about 2 or so weeks. Hold on to this win for as long as possible. I'm sure those Thanksgiving celebrations are going to be plentiful for the Busch Chevrolet of Eric Schaefer, who gets his first win of the season. We'll do this Polish victory lap in honor of Alan Kowicki. Or we'll just turn it around here at the apron. He'll continue his celebrations nonetheless. Eric Schaefer, the winner here at Michigan. Let's get through your full unofficial results. After 133 laps, we go over the scheduled distance on 2 attempts of overtime. Eric Schaefer, finally the winner in Season 6. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, despite his toughest efforts, he was 25 100ths of a second short. Jaden Porter, a 10th back to come in 3rd. What a run at the end by Jaden Porter to make it BBR 2 and 3 at the end of this one. Tony Kivitt started 8th on the restart. He ends up 4th, a top 5 effort for Kivitt, a race he will remember for a while. Scott Healy as well. Silent but effective effort, finishes inside the 5th position. Adam Alshire, bouncy and topsy-turvy throughout the race here and there, but ends up in 6th. 7th place goes to Colin Forrester. Cody Kinsey, great race for him in 8th. Jesse Priest to 9th. And Lance Hill, even despite the initial crash to bring out our first yellow, Lance Hill comes home inside the top 10. Michael Newbroad come in 11th. Jacob Locklear in his first ever race in 4-wide competition. He is 12th. Craig Parks 13th. Nicholas Rizzuti back in 14th. Patrick Thompson 15th. And just wonder what if you were Patrick Thompson, 2 laps away from his first victory on strategy. Then the caution came out. Austin Reedy, Brandon Banks, Ryan Pandicio, Trevor Haley, and Kyle Benson bring in the rest of the top 20. A lot of these drivers getting into crashes on the final lap, including AJ Green, Jeff Nolan 22nd, Brady Cox in 23rd, Brian Terry, the first car a lap down in 24th, Wyatt Brackett 2 laps down in 25th, David Brackett right behind in 26th, Christopher Bishop 27th, 28th to Craig Lownslager. Look at the final 2, 29th and 30th. Jason Hastings and Brandon Gillis, those that did bring out our caution to the first overtime attempt. Tyler Murray, Tyler Warner, Lawson Peel, Curtis Kelly, Kevin D'Elia bring us our 35-car field. And such a shame for Lawson Peel, who had nowhere to go on the second caution of the night. He gets taken out early, and that will do it here from Michigan. Let's see if we can bring in the replay there for the final lap of the race. And it happened near the back of the field. Of course, AJ Green and company, all of them ending up in a very large wreck on the back straightaway. It did involve Kyle Benson as they were running 3 and approximately 4 wide at moments. Look at the physicality first in turns 1 and 2. A monumental save by Green in the first place. They're all trying to get around a very loose Trevor Haley, who comes right down into the racetrack. The 38 swaps to the 48. They make the contact. Austin Reedy also gets in and hooks what appeared to be the 54 of Brandon Banks. Scott Healy got all through this in the middle. So did Tony Kibbett. And right here's the 48 comes up. No space. There's just nowhere to go there. 34 and the 54 go hard into the wall. And that's what pushes these 3 drivers out of contention for a solid points-paying position and basically took them out of the race. We'll get a look on board here with Benson. So nothing you could do there as the 4 car just occupied the space up top. When you're getting out of turn 2, everyone is desperate for position, and that's what you have as Eric Schaefer parks it into victory lane. We will have the moment to talk to him as finally, it's felt like a very long time that Schaefer has not been able to reach victory lane, but he's gotten everything but. And now he will have the satisfaction of his first win of the season. We'll bring in the winner for the first time in Season 6, Eric Schaefer. And Eric, we've talked to you, I think, every single race. It felt like third place finishes, second place finishes, but the one that has eluded you up to this point is a first place finish and a race victory. So does this feel like the much deserved win you were waiting for this year?
Yeah. I was really expecting Patrick to win there, but the last caution came out and I was like, well, and then I slid through my pit box. Wasn't expecting to get back up there, but yeah, no, it's much deserved, man. I mean, what? This year I've finished top 3 at least 5 or 6 times already. I was hoping to get a win.
I was going to say consistency had to have paid off at some point, but one thing that was apparent from even the halfway mark of tonight's race, you were one of those to watch for. You and Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Give us your perspective of that battle. You guys, it felt like you both had seen each other all race long through the strategy, and whether it be tire discrepancy or even just raw pace, both of you were there with each other all throughout.
Oh yeah, man, that was just old school racing right there. Like he would catch me, I would catch him, we would battle side by side. I mean, that was to me that was just absolute fun right there. And shout out to him for racing me as clean as he did, man. That was a good time for as close as we were there a couple of times. I'm sure it was pretty good content for your broadcast, man. I hope we put on a good show for you.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch, no doubt about it, in those last laps. I want to ask you, though, about your mindset there in the last 2 laps before the caution. You said you felt it was going to be Patrick's race to win. A couple of seconds in front of you guys. Time was running out. Then the yellow comes out. What's your first reaction as that happens?
Oh, first reaction is, oh, well, here we go. Look at my chops, like I've got a chance. And then I go in the pits and I slide a half a pit box through my stall. And I'm like, oh my goodness, man. So I had to back up. I came out 6th there. I went in second, came out 6th. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And then I was able to get a couple on on the first attempt. And I was like, all right, cool. Now we got a chance. But no, that was a blast right there the last couple laps.
A lot of fun to watch. You get your first win of the season. I'm sure your teammates in Drinkin' Bros Racing are just as happy because you were the 3rd Drinkin' Bros Racing driver to win in Season 6, so that must feel pretty good. And I'm assuming here with the race that Lawson Peel had, unfortunately, tonight, looks like you will take over the points lead heading into the 2-week break for Thanksgiving. And then when we return at Atlanta, you will have the control of the point standings from there. So give us your thoughts about how you're going to spend the Thanksgiving break in celebration after tonight's win, and obviously what's ahead at Atlanta, where we probably could expect a new update on iRacing for the oval side soon.
Yeah. So plans for Thanksgiving is enjoy my time away. I'll be this weekend's opening day of hunting season, so that's where I'll be sitting there chasing Bambi's daddy around, and no, just hang out with family, and then old Atlanta, man. I'm really looking forward to that. All the DVR guys are really, really, really good at old Atlanta. yeah, we're all looking forward to that track.
Be a lot of fun to see you there, but you've got a 2-week break. You get to revel in the celebrations, your first win of the season. Eric, on behalf of all of us at the broadcast team, congratulations on the win. Before we let you go, anybody in particular you want to thank?
Yeah, Kenneth, thank you for everything you do. You and Francisco, whenever he's here, I appreciate what y'all do, man, for the broadcast. It is outstanding what y'all do. It's always great. Everybody always comments on it whenever I share it to them. They're like, they do an outstanding job. Shout out to Reaper Speed Labs, Paul's Setup Shop, definitely all the DBR guys, man. We all just, like I tell you every time, we're a small family. We all just have fun together. But like I said, shout out to Ethan for running me as clean as he did, and shout out to TJ's team for sponsoring the league that we race in, and shout out to Tyler and all the admins, man. Like I said, we couldn't do this without them putting this on for us, and they're a bunch of great group of guys. So we have a good time with them.
Well, Eric, as always, we really do appreciate the kind words you give us each and every week, and I think we're just gonna make it a trend, make it sort of a tradition to talk to you every week, because it looks like the finishes are stacking up. Now the wins are here too. It's always good to see. Eric, on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, congratulations on your first win of the season. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate it. Go have fun with your family. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks when we get to Atlanta.
Thanks, Kenneth. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, brother.
That is Eric Schaefer, driver of the 3 in victory lane for the first time this season. A win that was definitely long overdue. Finally, he breaks through the barrier and gets it. The driver just short of the checkered flag, though, by 25 one-thousandths of a second. Ethan, is that a proper description of your feelings right now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I kind of choked that race away, but yeah, that just shows how I feel right now.
You had a great race, though, overall. I mean, just talk us through your thoughts, though, in those last laps. Because, I mean, talking to Eric, he said in around 5 laps to go, he said Patrick has this win. In your mind, was that the same? And what was your reaction like when that caution came out for overtime?
I mean, I kind of knew Patrick was going to win there if it went green to the end. So I was just, I don't know. I was fine with taking a third place, but when that caution came out, I was surprised. And honestly, I didn't think I had a shot to win anyways. I think somebody would take, some people, more than like 3 people would take like 2 tires there at the end. So I figured I'd probably be screwed at the end there. But everything came in place at the, everything just went my way there in 2 laps to go. I got myself into position there to go to take the win, and then Eric just had a run and he took it. I mean, he did a great job, made the right moves there, and yeah, just racing hard there in the last lap, and got forced up a little bit and lost all momentum to possibly get a runoff and probably beat him to the line. But I mean, it was good racing with them all race. Really happy with the result, and yeah, just gonna have to swallow this pill and move on to the next race.
And the next race is only a couple of weeks away. We take a 2-week break for Thanksgiving. We're back at Atlanta, and I asked Eric about this. I'm going to ask you the same, and I would do the same even for Jaden Porter. The iRacing update that's coming up very soon. Not sure whether that will be before directly the race we'll have at Atlanta, but how much will that affect that race if it does, and your thoughts about Legacy Atlanta on the schedule for the next one?
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what's like gonna happen. I don't know what's in this update or nothing. I'm just, just gonna drive, just kind of figure this out on my own somehow. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting going into that race. A lot of unknowns about how it's gonna drive and all that. So looking forward to it. Just gonna try to learn as much as I can before we go to that race.
All right, well, Ethan, we certainly appreciate the time. On behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, congratulations on the second place finish and getting a 2-3 for KBueno Racing as well tonight. Before we let you go, anybody in particular you want to thank for the night?
I think the whole BBR team, also Luke as well, because he popped into the call a few times and gave me some tips here and there. And although I did kind of fail what he told me to do, but yeah, I appreciate the help.
Well, Ethan, we certainly appreciate the time again. Hopefully, you and your family have a happy Thanksgiving in the coming weeks, and we'll see you at Atlanta in early December.
Yep, you as well. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody else.
That's Ethan Fonseca Moreno capturing the checkered flag to second place here from Michigan International Speedway. And now we get to talk with Jaden Porter. And Jaden, this is really the first time we get to talk on a podium finish this year. It's your best finish of the season. Talk us through how you feel about that and how you were able to survive the melee of that last overtime restart.
Man, it feels great to have a top 3. I feel like I just won a race after the way my season's gone, but probably the most speed I've had this season besides Bristol, maybe. I don't know. I kind of was decent the first 2 runs, but the 3rd run, I don't know what I found. But I hope I find that everywhere, because I feel like I was one of the fastest cars on the track. Then we got those yellows at the end, and I was able to scoot out with a top 3. I was knowing my luck, I was like, all right, here's where it's just gonna go downhill. But to get a top 3, it feels like a win at this moment right now.
It's your best finish since, I believe, Nashville back in late September, rather. So it's been a little while, and you've had, a season of learning. It's been definitely a change from last season, and you talked about it there with the season you've had. It feels like a win. How were you able to learn about the car over the last couple of weeks, or just learn about your season and slowly but surely with your teammates try to turn it around?
Yeah. Well, I feel like information with my teammates have been awesome this season, and I think it kind of led up, because I didn't know how to really run this place coming into it, and Ethan was telling me a lot about how running this place and how to get on the right rear, what to do. So credit to all my teammates for helping me out, keeping me in the game, keeping me confident. I've had a rough season, but they've always said, just keep your head up, you'll get there. And yeah, just figuring out how to get on the right rear with this car has been kind of an issue with me, because I'm able to save tires well. Sometimes I'll save my right front too much and the car will become tight, or I won't drive off the right rear enough and the car will become tight. So just learning how to drive off the right rear is the biggest thing. I think I'm starting to figure it out though.
And now we move into the Thanksgiving break for around 2 weeks. You get to relax for a little bit, then get back into the mindset of 4-wide racing at Atlanta. And I asked this to Ethan, asked this to Eric, I'll ask this to you. The iRacing update, I think, is looming in the distance. That oval refresh with the dynamic track update that they're partially giving to iRacing around December time. Not sure if it's going to be around when you guys actually do race at Atlanta, but your thoughts on that, how it may affect the race, and if it doesn't anyway, your thoughts on the old Atlanta surface for the next one.
If it doesn't change too much, I feel good about old Atlanta, because I know how to get on the right rear there, and I know how to save tires really well there. So I'm really excited about it. I don't know how this update's gonna work. I've been talking about it for a couple weeks now, thinking that it's gonna change everything. So just gotta learn. I think officials go to Atlanta either this week or the next week or the week after. So I'm definitely gonna run a lot of that to figure out how the car drives. But obviously, the update's gonna change a lot. So really gonna be just who can learn as fast as they can with this new update, because I think it's gonna change everything, honestly.
Well, regardless of what's ahead in the future, in the present, your best finish of the season, top 3 effort here at Michigan. Before we let you go, anybody in particular you want to thank for the top 3 run?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone on my team at KBueno Racing, Ethan, Luke, Jacob, who raced today. He was in the call today. He helped out a lot. My brother and his friends for watching. My brother's kept my head up as well. Keep telling me to keep my head up. So his top 3 is gonna help that, and thank him for keeping my confidence up. Yeah.
All right, well, this finish, certainly one worth remembering heading into the Thanksgiving break. Jaden, on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, congratulations on the podium finish here from Brooklyn, Michigan. We hope wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving in the coming weeks, and we'll be excited to see you and the rest of the gang get back to action at Atlanta in a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving, buddy.
That's Jaden Porter, driver of the number 28. Third place here from Michigan International Speedway. So that'll do it for us on the driver segment of our broadcast for top 3. Eric Schaefer wins in a stunner over Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Kind of funny to see that 2 races in a row, we find ourselves in a position where the 2 drivers at the front go head-to-head to the race at the finish line. And like I've been talking about with the top 3 drivers on the interview segment, we are taking a break for 2 weeks, that is, so you won't find us live next Wednesday, nor the one after. We'll be taking a little bit of time off for the Thanksgiving week and the week, of course, before. Then we'll be back in action, though, in early December. December 6th is where you will find action of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series that resumes from Legacy Atlanta, the 2008 iRacing scan of it. We are anticipating a new oval refresh in the new build for 2024 Season 1. Not a full overhaul, but it is one that could drastically change the game for these drivers on the oval side. And if that does get implemented before Atlanta, boy, we're going to have a lot to talk about. But until then, we'll be there to Watkins Glen after. We'll head to the All-Star break at North Wilkesboro. We'll be back in action for regular season competition, race 14 at Darlington, and we weave our way through the rest of 2023. We enter the new year with a berth at the playoffs just shortly after. So that will do it for our coverage of tonight's race from Michigan in the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. For Tyler Murray and everyone from the admin team and race council, and from all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Byer, for Keelan Balsha, and for Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long from Michigan. A big congratulations to Eric Schaefer. Wishing you and your families a happy and safe Thanksgiving week. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Atlanta Motor Speedway.